think in general, the referees are responsible to see a much wider picture and yet zero in on detail. And we can only adjudicate that detail correctly when we know what the whole picture is that's going on. We know what the snap is. We know what where the defender was. We know all of these factors that determine whether the action is legal or illegal. Oftentimes, our coaches only hear the first part of that sentence. And so we tend to, and we do this as referees as well, we lock ourselves into old wives' tales about thinking that a situation is, because it was illegal in one case, would be illegal all the time everywhere and applied everywhere. And it's not as cut and dried nor as simple as that. Well, and we've shown you some examples today where, hits that are deemed to be dangerous and are fouls aren't necessarily fouls in other instances. When they're, the same thing done at a different time and in a different place can be exactly legal, but at certain times it's illegal.
Bob, is there situations where a play can be deemed illegal on one part of the field and can happen in another part of the field and be totally legal?
Yes, and that's what makes the game frustrating, the relationship between officials and coaches, a very frustrating one for both sides, coaches and officials, because there are instances where we've called a play illegal in a certain case or a certain situation, but that very same action in a different situation would be completely legal. And it's very difficult for coaches who are very concerned with right and wrong and with the understanding the rules of the game to come to grips with that is a very difficult concept. And it's difficult for us as officials to explain that in every instance too, because last time you called that a foul. Well, yeah, I did, but this time there's different extenuating circumstances that caused this to be a legal
well, every
action
play
now.
has variables.
Right, and there's
the
so
variables
many of those.
in this play said this is an illegal act.
Correct.
But in this play, it's not.
And I think that
so it's subject to interpretation.
An awful lot, and I think a lot of that is what adds to the adversarial relationship that a lot of coaches and officials feel. And we need to somehow bridge that gap. And I think these videos and these sessions that we're doing in conjunction with the certification for the Ute Conference coaching and for the Ute Conference officials on both sides of this, and coaches don't for a minute think that we don't tell the officials this very same information, is an important step in the right direction. And I commend the Ute Conference for taking it.
We appreciate what you do, but we love what our coaches do too.
Absolutely, we do too.
These coaches are out here for the betterment of these young men and young women, and so are you. It's your love of the game. And so don't be so quick to judge. This situation happened, you called it this way, and the same thing happened over here, but there were different variables that they have to interpret to come up with it. And we've already said, you're not always going to get it right.
No, we don't always get it right, that's for sure.
And we don't have the luxury of instant replay.
No, we don't.
And you don't go over into the corner at halftime and sit down and look at your iPads.
Yeah. In fact, we can't. By rule, we're not allowed to look at any replays on the field presented by parents, coaches, fans, or anyone else. If we do, we have to assess an automatic ejection to the head coach and also a penalty to the team, even if we just view the footage that they're trying to show us. Coaches are allowed to use that as a coaching tool during the game. They're allowed to take photos and use it to coach their kids. But we're not as officials. We have to use just the judgment and our observation skills and our knowledge of the rules and mechanics of football to judge and rule on the game as it unfolds in real time.